Puck is down here at Mariucci, experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties on our end, but I'm Eitan Schoenberg. To my left is Sam Constant. We've got Game 2 of Minnesota versus Penn State here at Mariucci.
Well, Game 1, quite the thriller. Penn State going up 2-0 early on in the game, and then Minnesota striking back 2 goals, including a great one-time from a knee from Brody Zemer. Get the go-ahead on the power play from Mo. Great penalty kill in the third, and the Gophers take last night's series opener 3-2. That brings us to today. It was pretty much, without a doubt, the Gophers' best win of the season last night, so entering today with some steam.
100% Minnesota played their best, one of their best second periods of the season, scoring 3 straight in that second period and then falling back and playing defense in that third. So face off to the left. Kevin Radler is in net for Penn State tonight, a switch from last night where they had Fleming. Gophers sticking with Nittany tonight. Here's a shot from Misa that's blocked off the pad of Airy.
Now, LJ Mooney is in the lineup today. There was some question after a fight at the end of last night's game broke out, but no suspensions from that.
Point shot goes wide. Penn State in their Navy jerseys tonight. Minnesota wearing gold to close out this series. Gophers are moving right to left. Penn State left to right. Here's John Middlestat. He had 2 assists last night. A great game from him. Sends the puck down low. Casey Amon feeds it to his winger, Shea Van Olm, who just flips it out to center ice, and that's trapped by Jacob Rombach.
Casey Amon really trusted the speed of his defensive partner, Carter Shade, there. He dropped way back to play the pass, even when there wasn't a line directly in or behind the last Gopher. He was able to effectively block off that pass with trust that the puck would eventually be picked up as it was.
So that puck is sent in deep, picked up by Chindagraves, but it's fought off on the near wall. Gruba has it in his own zone. He starts up. Beckett Hendrickson chips the puck deep and goes for a line change.
Arietta hit right off that line change just in front of the bench with Chindagraves. We'll see if those tempers flare early tonight.
Penn State now with the puck in the Gophers zone. Shot block like Jimmy Clark, but Penn State has it at the blue line. Shot from Wiebusch goes wide of the net. 2 goals yesterday from Reese Lawback. He's on the top line today with Dowiak and McKenna. They're sitting on the bench right now looking to come back out. Penn State dumps the puck in deep. Gophers are forced to retreat. Here comes Tanner Lucky. He rings it around. Picked up by Tate Pritchard on the far side, but he's pressured down low by Makadowski. Now Penn State starts up center ice. It was DeMarsico waved onside, but he loses the puck to Pritchard.
Good stick there by Pritchard, about as close as you can get without risking a hook.
Now Luke Middlestat, a shot from the outside. That one's swallowed up easily by Kevin Radler. Radler, the sophomore from Sweden, 16 games played in his career. He's got a .909 save percentage, .940 record in his career, 5-3-0 record right now. There's a little bit of a scrum going on below the goal line. That was between Eric Paulson and Dowiak, who actually got mixed up yesterday after the whistle too.
There were about 3 or 4 clusters of fights down behind the Gopher red line right as that final buzzer blew. Like I said, no suspensions. There were definitely some people who thought that Mooney and a couple other players would be out.
A lot of penalty minutes handed out at the end of the game. Here's Gavin McKenna on the far side to Lawback. He's on the near side. Lawback, again, 2 goals in the first period yesterday. He fires that one around. Held in the point by Carter Shade. McKenna to Lawback. Lawback has it on the goal line now. The right-handed shot swings it, tries to feed it out front to Dowiak, who is creeping in the crease, but the puck isn't handled by Dowiak, and now Zemer feeds it around to Jacob Rombach as the Gophers are breaking out of their own zone.
We saw the Gophers get really conservative with putting on pressure during a line change. basically just chipped it in and went for the line change every time they got the chance in the third period with that 1-goal lead. Seems like they're leaning into that a little bit right now, just trying to keep all their skaters fresh after a tough game last night.
Van Olm holds the puck in. Now John Middleset has it. He'll skate it out of the zone. Pressured by Ben Schoen, but they still get it in deep. Retrieving it is Crespo for Penn State. Crosses the blue line, feeds it to Van Olm. Across the Gophers blue line now. Back to Crespo. Short angle shot there, stopped by Airy. Mason Moe has it now, trying to skate out of the zone, but it's a hard pressure forecheck from Crespo, the defenseman. Misa dumps it in deep. Gophers thought that play was offside, but it's waved on. 15:23 left in this first period. Again, it was Minnesota controlling the play early on in yesterday's game, but Penn State managed to get the first two, and then, of course, the second period spurt. Here's a shot from Tanner Lucky after a turnover. That one goes just wide.
Well, that's a dangerous turnover. Gophers, or Nittany Lions, got really lucky, just right in that slot, directly between the two dots, and just couldn't quite put that 1-0 shot in.
Radler feeds it to his defender. That's Makadowski. Now Nolan Collins feeds it up. They enter the zone. That was a shot from Lev Katzen that was blocked, and now Minnesota has it. Tanner Lucky, the transfer to the far side. Gophers dump it in deep, go for a bit of a line change. Radler has it under his own net. Over to Casey Amon. Weebush now. Cross ice, they enter the zone. It's Serrato, mixed up the lines a little bit. Matt DeMarsico now feeds it to the point. Shot cross ice from Carter Shade. Was looking for DeMarsico but couldn't find him. Gophers able to clear the zone for a second, but Penn State goes right back the other way. Puck dumped in by DeMarsico, and he'll go for a change. That one almost took an awkward bounce, just like we saw yesterday, that allowed Lawback to get the first goal of the game. That one hit off the back of the net, right out to the front. Lawback all alone, and he sniped that one home.
Yeah, Rumback wasn't too careful with that one, expecting the bounce for him to be all alone, and all of a sudden, Nittany Lions were right on top of it. Luckily, he was able to get right back on it.
So here's Eric Paulson. He's got Mooney going backdoor. Mooney was looking for that one backdoor, and it goes just wide.
Great speed and awareness by Mooney. Couldn't quite connect, but he was somehow able to break out in front of the pack of Lions right in front of him, get an open shot.
That sounds intimidating. Pack of Lions. Here comes the Gophers the other way. LJ Mooney on the half wall. He spins using his skating skills. Feeds it to the point for Bagley. First career goal for Axel Bagley yesterday, the sophomore. Sorry, junior, correcting myself. Under the net. Up in front of the ice. It was Paulson, a shot from near the blue line, and that one goes out of play. 13:03 left to play here in the first period.
Zemer taking up a lot of space in the crease. We saw a lot of physical play. Often 2 or even 3 players camped out within a couple feet of the goaltender. Gophers doing a lot of that in the second period. Penn State was really pressuring Airy in the third period. So we're going to see how much they really try to jump in front, create some traffic, and maybe go for some tip-ins.
Face off to the right of Radler. Penn State wins that draw. Nolan Collins rings it around to Makadowski. They start out of the zone. Errant pass for Van Olm. Now Penn State comes in 3-on-2. Misa to Ben Schoen. Schoen shot off the blocker of Nathan Airy, and that one goes out of play.
I was wrong, Aton. It's a Pride of Lions.
Pride, okay.
There you go. Pride of Minnesota, Pride of Lions. Good matchup.
All right, well, 12:47 left in this first period. We got a break in the action. We'll come back on Radio K. All right, face off to the left of Nathan Airy. 12:47 left in this first period. Shots are 2-3 right now. Penn State leading in the edge. Penn State, Ben Schoen at center. Again, they shuffled these lines a little bit. So Tanner Ludke will take the draw against him. Minnesota wins the draw. Cal Thomas sends it behind the net for Gruba, who's not there in time. But the Gophers are still able to clear the zone.
It's a couple plays now already. The Gophers just getting a bit lackadaisical in their own zone, assuming somebody's going to be there to cover. And credit to the Lions. They've done a great job pouncing on those just unrelenting pressure for those loose pucks.
Penn State rings the puck into the Gophers zone. Van Olm on the forecheck. He goes to the point for Nolan Collins. Nolan Collins feeds it down low for Schoen, who's pressured. Wraparound attempt there from Misa, and it's stopped by Nathan Airy, and the Gophers are able to clear the zone.
Well, I don't think Airy could have stopped that without Gruba getting a stick in there at the very end. Didn't seem like Airy fully knew where it was, and Gruba just scooped it out, got the puck out of trouble, and at least got the clear for the Gophers.
Nick Chindegrave sends that puck in the zone. Gruba on the backhand, fans on it, but Cal Thomas picks it up. He's got John Middlestat up the ice. Instead, feeds it to Javon Moore. Moore across the blue line, runs into a couple lines, and that puck comes out to center ice for Rombach, who will regroup for the Gophers.
You know, if you said that fan was a fake, I'd say it was a pretty good move.
Moore now. Penn State just sitting back in the neutral zone, waiting for the Gophers to break out. A little bit different from yesterday then. Maybe trying to shut down the Gophers' rush as they come into the zone. Penn State now turns the puck over below the net. John Middlestat has it now. He's on the far wall. To Mo. Mo sends it down low. Mo had the game-winning goal, and here's a penalty coming against Penn State. Gophers will get a power play early on in this first period. We're just 11:09. We'll see who skates off right now. Looks like it's going to be Carter Shade taking a penalty.
Well, stepping back to that last play, Nick Fascia definitely just saved a goal for the Nittany Lions. He had a bad turnover behind the net, but his recovery was incredible. He completely tied up Middlestat. There was an open man in the slot for the Gophers. Middlestat had no chance of getting it there, rode him all the way back to the blue line, and prevented a sure Gopher goal.
So the Gopher power play getting another look. First look at the game, but another look this weekend. It was Brody Zemer, the one-timer on the power play yesterday that evened the game. Penn State able to ring the puck out. On the ice right now is Mooney, Ludke, Lamb, Luke Middlestat, and Brody Zemer. On the kill right now, Dane Dowiak is the forward. Nick Chindegrave's coming off the ice for Reese Lawback. Here come the Gophers. Ludke across the blue line to Mooney. They'll try to set up now. Mooney on the near wall. Walks in a little bit, dances, head fake, back door. One-timer slammed home by Tanner Ludke.
What a setup by Mooney. He started working in, showed that skill move. We know he's a skill player. Threatens that, walks in enough. You think maybe he's going to go for it himself. And then sees Tanner Ludke hiding by that left post. Slips it all the way through to him. And then just an easy shot in. Great finish by Ludke. Incredible play for the Gophers.
So you hear the rouser ringing through Mariucci just like we saw yesterday. L.J. Mooney on the setup, this time to the right side. Tanner Ludke, one-time goal, and Gophers are up 1-0 right now, but here comes Reese Lawback the other way for Penn State. Gavin McKenna now in his own zone, forechecked initially by Beckett Hendrickson. He's a very hard forechecker for these Gophers. Here comes McKenna. Wrist shot there. That one sailed aside by Nathan Airy. Had a bit of trouble with that one. Of course, McKenna, the highly touted NHL prospect. Shot there, saved off of Airy, and that one goes out of play.
I think it's fair to say this is an incredibly pivotal game in the Gophers season. If yesterday was just a fluke, then this has been a frustrating year and that could continue. If they can play at the level that they played at last night consistently, this is going to be a team that's back at the caliber that the fans expect of Gopher hockey.
Face off to the left of Nathan Airy. He's got 6 saves so far tonight. Ben Schoen on the face off. He's up against Mason Moe. Ben Schoen, right-handed shot, wins the face off. Shot from the point from Crespo. That one flutters through, kicks out to the front of the net. Nathan Airy not able to see that one initially. Now it's Van Olm to the point for Crespo. Crespo downloaded Misa. Misa back to Crespo in the slot, and he fans on that shot. Great setup play there. Here comes Mo across the red line. Gophers clear, and they send it in deep. Ricochet off the wall. Crespo rings it around to Van Olm. He drops it off there for Ben Schoen. Across the red line, now the blue line. He was looking for Van Olm on the drop pass, but he wasn't ready for that one. Penn State sells the puck down low. Rombach brings down Van Olm below the net. At the point, Godowski for Misa. Back to Godowski in the slot. That play's broken up by Mason Moe. Here comes Rombach, the defender, kicks it over to John Middlestat. He's got Mason Moe going hard backdoor. Short angle shot there. That one's saved by Radler.
Definitely expecting the pass was Penn State there. After such a strong play to get that puck free and then looking across the slot, he was already so close to the red line. I like the idea to go for the shot, just couldn't quite squeeze it through.
So Penn State ices the puck. They'll have a draw in their own zone to the right of Radler. Minnesota 4 shots on goal, 9 minutes left in this first period. Eric Poulsen on the faceoff against Charlie Serrato. 2 lefties going at it. Penn State wins the draw. Under the net is Jackson Smith. He had a couple of penalties yesterday, one pivotal as it led to that Brody Zemer goal. Luke Middlestat gives it to Zemer, who just dumps that puck in deep. Nolan Collins now up to Weebush. Chips that one in the zone, and it's Cal Thomas now, the Gophers captain, gives it over to Luke Middlestat, another Gophers captain. Across the blue line, Paulson. He's knocked down by Nolan Collins looking for a call. Shot there from Zemer, ricochets and out of play.
The Gophers are doing a really good job of sweeping up loose pucks. They're not always playing with the urgency I'd like to see them play with, but they've taken some pucks out of the crease of Airy, some just out of the neutral zone, that once they're ready for it, they've been doing a good job sweeping those away from Penn State, turning those into some fast break opportunities, and more importantly on the defensive side, getting a load off Airy's shoulders.
Face off in the Penn State zone. Gophers won that draw and send it in deep. It's Serrato on the puck right now. He backhands it out of the zone to neutral ice. Cal Thomas rips that one right back in. Gophers on the forecheck. It's Tate Pritchard. Ludke down low to Pritchard. Pritchard goes to the bumper there for Teddy Townsend. Wasn't able to handle that one. Here comes Weebush with speed. He chips it around Thomas. Some contact in the corner, and the Gophers come up with the puck. Luke Middlestat over to Tanner Ludke, who can't handle it very well. Kicked out. Here comes Penn State across the blue line, broken up by Leo Gruba. Gruba banks it off the wall to Townsend. He's got a 1-on-2, drops it off, but Ludke was going for a line change, so Penn State has it now. Turnover there across the blue line. Chipped in by Jackson Smith, and the Gophers retreating in their own zone. They're going to start out for a breakout.
Pretty aggressive forecheck here by the Lions, and Gophers' last 2 times that they've gotten the puck, just completely careless turnovers, trying to get a little fancy no-look passes with teammates just nowhere to be found. So definitely hoping that they can get those worked out a little bit.
Penn State is offside. Lev Katzen was in the zone early, and they're going to put that one at center ice. 7:25 left here in this first period. Clark on the faceoff, and the Gophers win it. Rombach off the wall to Hendrickson, and Clark tries to chip that one in deep. Retrieving is Crespo. Smith rings it around to McKenna. Nice breakout there, but he's stripped for a second by Hendrickson. The puck just clears the zone. Again, I don't know how many times you can say it, but Hendrickson just a feisty player in the offensive zone. Gophers ring it around in their own zone. Back to Hendrickson. Collins gives it to his defenseman as Penn State looks to regroup in the neutral zone. Gavin McKenna to the far wall. First captain Dowiak. Here comes Lawback. Stops on the blue line. Red line, sorry about that. Pass just exits the zone as there's a missed pass there for Dowiak.
If you've got a righty shading up there, that is a great play feeding him, just not the right angle when you've got that lefty in Dowiak.
Gavin McKenna dancing, receiving a little bit of booze from the Gopher crowd. And here comes Luke Middlestat after blocking a shot. He's 2-on-2 with Mason Moe. Moe misses the pass. Penn State on the defensive play there, breaks it up. Collins rings it around to Lawback. Not much pressure there on him. He still fans on the pass, and the puck stays in the zone. Gadowski clears it to Misa. Misa across the blue line with speed. Drops it off for his winger. Shot there. That one goes just wide from Van Olm. Kept in by Ben Schoen. He stops at the red line.
Great work by Ludke on that last play, clearing out the lane for his teammates, taking a couple Gophers with him as he cut across through to the right of Airy.
Van Olm, sharp angle shot from the half wall is swallowed up by Airy. 5:48 left in this first period. Gophers leading Penn State 1-0 at home. We'll be back after the break. All right, we're back. 5:48 left in the first period. Face off to the right of Airy in the Gophers defensive zone. On the draw, Charlie Serrato against Jimmy Clark. Indecisive face-off win for the Gophers. But Penn State comes up with the puck. DeMarsico sends the puck down low, looking for a winger. Luke Middlestat banks it off the wall for Brody Lamb. Now Rombach has it at the face-off dot in his own zone, far side to Luke Middlestat. He dances. Nice feed up the middle to Hendrickson, stepped on by Charlie Serrato, but the Gophers still backhand it and get it in deep. Crespo rings it around. Turnover there to Jimmy Clark. On the forecheck is Hendrickson. 3 Gophers below the goal line. Crespo comes up with the puck again. 5 minutes left in this first period. Penn State just flips it out, gets to the Gopher zone, and they come back the other way. Chipped in on the backhand by Clark. All alone on the forecheck is Brody Lamb. And now Penn State comes up with it. Reese Lawback across the Mariucci line to McKenna. McKenna tries to feed it to the middle, again receiving boos from the Gopher student section. Minnesota breaks that pass up and sends it all the way down. There'll be an icing.
Sloppy chunk of play there on both sides. Both teams going for a couple stretch passes that either they just misconnected or didn't quite get there fast enough. There's the one over behind the net trying to find Webush that he just rung it around way too slow. Gopher able to pounce on it, couldn't do any damage. Gophers tried for a stretch pass later, too slow to get that breakaway opportunity. One of those things that both teams just could really tighten up so far.
Face-off won by the Gophers, and Mooney avoided a big hit from Collins. Here's Brody Zemer now, flips it cross ice, looking for Mooney to beat Collins with speed. Instead, it goes down below Penn State's goal line. Zemer gets the puck off a turnover from Gadowski. Paulson fighting for it, ends up kicking it to McKenna. Puck gets out to center ice for Whipple, who just tries to send that one in. Now McKenna with the puck. Over to Collins. Collins slap shots that puck in, stopped below the net by Airy. He has a little bit of trouble with it, but the Gophers still have it. Here's Brody Zemer up to Tanner Ludke. Held in by Casey Amon. He's got it in his own zone. He reverses it to Carter Shade. Shade cross ice. Dumped in the zone by Braden Ford. Ford with the puck again. He kicks it to the point for Amon. Amon with a shot. That one goes wide. Maybe looking for a redirect there. Pritchard on the half wall kicks it out to Tanner Ludke, and here come the Gophers the other way, 2-on-2. Sauce pass looking for Townsend, misses his stick, and instead goes to Penn State as they come out of their own zone. Another missed pass, so just a stretch of missed passes for both teams here. Radler has a hard time stopping the puck below the net. Amon goes into the boards awkwardly after a collision with Pritchard. He's getting up and he looks to be all right. Big forecheck by Javon Moore. Big hit draws reaction from the crowd. Penn State still has the puck though. Misa almost got his head taken off there by Mo, but avoided the hit there. Gruba, good pressure, rings it around. Javon Moore. Now Misa below the goal line, looking for the bumper play. They kick it out. Nice shot there from Jackson Smith is blocked. Great setup play from Penn State, but the Gophers able to shut that one down as it goes out of play, and there will be a face-off inside Minnesota's defensive zone.
Neither team has really had a great sense of where the rest of their squad has been so far today. Lots of errant passes like we've been talking about, and the one time that that's not true, just a beautiful feed over to Jackson Smith. Good job by the Gopher defense pouncing on it, getting just far enough over to get a stick on it.
So here's a face-off to the right of Nathan Airy. Luke Misa on the draw. That one's won by the Gophers. Here's Beckett Hendrickson. He's got a bit of time. We'll skate it to the red line. Pressure there by Van Olm. Good forecheck there from him. Stops at the blue line as Misa looking cross-eyes pass broken up. Quick reflexes from Luke Middlestad as he sends that one all the way back down to Penn State zone. Crespo behind the net. Taking his time, waiting for Smith to come through. Smith across the red line, now the blue line. Left-handed shot on the near wall, takes a shot on his forehand. That one rings around. Misa sends it down low for Van Olm. They try to ring it around for Smith. He pinches at the point as Hendrickson getting there first, and glassing out is Jimmy Clark. Penn State with the puck in their own zone. They flip it quickly to Van Olm, who's at the Gophers' blue line. Short angle shot there, stopped by Airy. Minnesota coming up with the puck.
Gophers tried to squeeze in a line change to that third line, Mooney, Paulson, and Zemer. Just got back a little bit slowly. Lucky for them, they were able to evade any damage.
Good reaction there from Penn State to turn up ice quickly to spring Van Olm, who tried to get an attempt off. Puck in Minnesota's zone now. Minnesota's zone now. Here's Eric Paulson, sauces it up to Mooney. Mooney to Zemer, who spins to catch the pass. Zemer, the right-handed shot on the wall. That one doesn't get through. Penn State the other way, 2-on-2. Collins hustles. Across the blue line is DeMarsico. Forehand shot there, looking for a redirect from Collins, is smothered by Minnesota.
They're crossing paths there. I don't even think the Gophers had a great sense of where it was going. They were just causing traffic in the middle, and the pass couldn't get through.
Paulson enters the zone slowly. He's on his backhand. Hit there by Dowiak. Paulson sort of ate that one, but they still have the puck below the goal line. Minnesota looking to set up. Zemer just rings that puck down low. Here's Collins. Easy breakout for Penn State as Minnesota was changing across the red line is Dowiak to McKenna. He stops, brings a couple Gophers with him, but a poke check from Townsend clears the zone. Shade to the far side for McKenna. McKenna up the middle is Smith. Now it's Dowiak across the blue line. Another good defensive play, that time by Gruba to kick the puck out to the zone. 30 seconds left in this first period. Missed pass from Lawback. Goes all the way down for an icing, and we'll have his face-off in Penn State's defensive zone.
Well, how about the student section right now? They're making this place loud. They are definitely booing some Penn State players, adding some serious noise to the mix, and a good showing after a great matchup last night. And with 27.6 seconds left, definitely hoping the Gophers can notch one more here to cap off a good first period of play.
So the face-off to the right of Radler. Penn State's defensive zone. Gophers lose the face-off as Lamb left his post early, allowing Penn State to get there after Clark pulled it back. So here's Luke Middlestad. 15 seconds left in the first period. Across the blue line is Lamb. He chips it down low for Clark on the forecheck. McKenna now up the middle. Penn State one last rush here in this first period. Chin to Graves, backhands it in, 5 seconds left. In the corner now onto the net. That'll do it for the first period as Luke Middlestad clears the zone. Minnesota takes a 1-0 lead into this second period over number 5 Penn State.
Middlestad nearly took off the ref's head with that clear, but nice little apology at the end there. Overall, I think the Gophers had some strong points in that period. Didn't quite just have that chemistry built in as they did in the second and somewhat third periods yesterday. They are on the right track. They certainly look better than they have much of the year, but they got to get a couple of those passes down, find those connections, and ease off on those fancy passes that don't connect.
Definitely looks like both teams are still trying to find their footing after yesterday's competitive matchup, but Minnesota takes the 1-0 lead into the second period. You're listening to Radio K. We'll be back. right, welcome back. We're in intermission right now, 1:30 from puck drop in the second period. I'm Eitan Schoenberg. To my left is Sam Constant. We're here in the press box at 3M Arena at Mariucci, Minnesota, leading Penn State 1-0 right now. Sam, what did you see from that first period?
Well, you know, it was a lot of sloppy play on both sides. I think there were several times that a team would put together a pretty good play. Of course, the one for the Gophers that worked out was that beautiful feed to Tanner Ludke. But I think that both teams just need to tighten up those passes. A lot of the no-look fancy stuff that they just didn't connect on, careless turnovers, getting to the puck quickly in the defensive zone. Gophers luckily made it out with the 1-goal lead. I think Nittany Lions certainly not playing at their best, but just a lot of things to tighten up across the board here.
Yeah, first period definitely a little sloppy from both sides. Penn State coming into the series after a split with Michigan. That's number 2. They were ranked number 2, Michigan versus Penn State. That was at home for Penn State. Michigan won game 1 7-1, and then game 2 Penn State won 4-2. So they're looking to bounce back right now. Is Penn State. Gophers, of course, coming off a split against LIU and winning last night against Penn State. So they're 3-2 right now in Big Ten play. Penn State right now with a losing 3-4-0 record, but they're still ahead of the Gophers in the standings with another series under their belt. So we get set here for puck drop right now. Minnesota skating left to right now. Penn State right to left on the draw is Eric Paulson and the captain Dane Dowiak for Penn State. Face off won by Dowiak. Penn State has it now. It's Crespo off the board. Goes into the Gophers zone. Breakout pass, finds Mooney. Across the red line is Paulson. He just shoots it on Radler. Radler was looking to get a player to play that out to, but he just covers that puck 17 seconds into this second period.
Gophers in the first period were outshot 8-4. Yeah, they played a little bit defensively through parts of it, just going for the easy line change when they got the opportunity. And clearly, it kept them up 1-0, but I still would like to see them put a little bit more pressure on and just get pucks on net, because good things can happen if you've got pucks on net, traffic in front.
Face off to the right of Radler in Penn State's defensive zone. On the draw is Paulson. He's faced against Nick Chindagraves. Linesman had them reset for a second. Puck is down. Gophers win the faceoff. Mooney to the point for Gruba. Gruba with a shot tipped out front there by Brody Zemer, and that one goes wide. Paulson's down, a little slow to get up, but he's back on his feet. To the point for Bagley. One-timer fanned on by Mooney as he was backing up toward the far wall. Jackson Smith with the clear now. No pressure from the Gophers' point. And that one comes out of the zone to the far side for Crespo. Katzen taps it back to Crespo. He's retreating back to get to his defensive post. Under the net in Penn State zone is Jackson Smith. Weak pass. Cross ice. Braden Ford, no one there. Rombach has it now in the Gophers' defensive zone. Chips it off the wall, but Chindagraves pinches there, keeping that puck in Minnesota zone 1 minute into the second period. Here comes Luke Middlestat with speed. He crosses the red line. He's going to take this one in by himself. Dances to his backhand, but he's knocked down by Lawback on the back check. Sent to the point. Penn State looking for an offside. Javon Moore regroups and sends that one in deep. Radler plays it over to Crespo. He feeds it cross ice to Lawback. Dances past Rombach, and now it's McKenna with the puck looking for a trailer. No one there. Gadowski stepping up into it as he tries to hold it in at the blue line. He does with his stick. Now the Gophers have it under the net. Turnover below the goal line. Here comes Dowiak with the puck on his backhand. One-timer shot there from Gadowski doesn't get through. Lawback was pressured by Whipple. Back to the point for Gadowski. His shot just goes wide of the net. Penn State still maintaining pressure right now. They're cooking. On the near wall is Lawback. McKenna there, pressured by Whipple. Another forced turnover goes to the point and just escapes the zone for Collins. Collins has the puck at his own blue line to his defensive partner, Gadowski. Shot there from Misa is gloved down by Airy.
Keep in mind, this is the long change side, so the Gophers were able to get that front line, some new skaters. Other three were still held back in the defensive zone, and both teams were a little bit slow to change. Looked like Penn State was okay just sort of playing 4-on-4, 3-on-3 for a moment, and letting the Gophers change as well on defense.
Face off to the right of Nittany in Minnesota's defensive zone. Misa on the draw against Lucky. The 11s collide here in the face-off dot. Scramble for it, and Schoen comes up with the puck, sends it down low. Thomas picks it up, chips it glass and out. That'll clear to center ice. Shade gloves it down. Feeds it to Schoen. No hand pass there as Pritchard dumps the puck in deep. That will trickle just past the net. Below the goal line, having some trouble with it was Casey Amon. Now here comes Ben Schoen on the backhand cross ice. Nice feed there up the middle. Here comes Misa. His sticked away there from Leo Gruba. Good defensive play to prevent a potential partial break in Minnesota's zone. Glass and out, and Minnesota ices the puck almost 3 minutes into the second period.
Good recovery there by Gruba, and I think Cal Thomas also had a role in that play. It was a really good setup, but the Gophers didn't super much bite on that outside lane. They stayed contained in the middle and were just barely able to catch up. Stop that before a shot could get off, and couldn't quite get a good clear, but at least a second on the icing.
Weebush, shot was blocked there. Minnesota clears it to the defensive zone. DeMarsico feeds it to his defenseman Crespo, who stops to burn. Ludke had a long shift, was forced to stay on from the icing. He comes off the ice now. Penn State gets it across Minnesota's zone. Below the goal line now is Romback. Under the net, DeMarsico. They battle for it on the near wall. Kick to the point for Jackson Smith. Swings it over to Crespo. Point shot kicked away there. Fanned on the shot was Charlie Serrato. Would have been a sure goal off the skate now. Point shot. That one from Smith. He holds it in at the point. To the near wall. Looking for the bumper play in the slot was DeMarsico, but it clears the zone all the way back into Penn State defensive territory. And Minnesota is able to send that one into some of their players go for a line change.
Like you said, clear goal if he can make contact with that puck.
There was a rush there from Penn State. Shot just goes wide from Lawback. They keep it in the zone. McKenna down below the goal line to Dowiak. Dowiak walks off the wall. He turns around, fires. That shot's blocked by Mooney. Mooney had a nice block yesterday as well. Dowiak has the puck below the goal line. He walks out. He's met there by Luke Middlestad as the Gophers are able to clear the zone for a second, but Penn State's able to hold possession. Nice move by Lawback. He comes in 3-on-2. Dowiak looking for Lawback. Backdoor shot off the pad there from Nathan Airy. Goes to the corner. Penn State loses the puck, and that one goes out of the zone. But right now, the Nittany Lions driving possession.
Dowiak has done a great job of getting open. His teammates just haven't been finding him consistently.
And a missed pass from Penn State goes all the way back down. We'll have an icing face-off. Gophers picking a side for the draw. Looks like it will be to the right of Radler.
So far, just 3-2 in shots on goal. Penn State with the edge in this second period. A lot of what we saw in the first is still carrying over.
Gophers were on their heels for a little bit to start off this second period, but they've got a chance to capitalize in the offensive zone right now. Penn State able to clear the puck off the face-off. Now here's Gruba in his own defensive zone. Swings it cross ice to his defensive partner in Begley. Off the boards, Javon Moore's pass just misses Mason Bowe, but it squirts back to him. Shot there, kicked away from Radler. Rebound loose in front. Minnesota not able to capitalize there. It was John Middlestack going hard backdoor. Here comes Penn State the other way. Ben Schoen's cut off. Puck goes all the way back down to Penn State's defensive zone. And they'll set up for a breakout.
Misa and Collins were there blocking that off. Easy rebound for the Gophers if they could get to it, but a good job by the Penn State defense covering for it.
So a real good chance there for Minnesota. Would have been a nice insurance marker in this second period. Here come the Gophers the other way again. Hungry for another chance. Mason Moe sends it down low. Shade on the forecheck, keeps it away from him to the point. Quick shot from Cal Thomas goes over the net. Now below the goal line is Whipple, the defenseman, for Pritchard. Pritchard pressured. Shane Van Olm comes up with the puck.
Now the Gophers are regrouping. Here's Whipple across the blue line. Dumps it in on the backhand, waiting for a forward to go grab it. Townsend pressuring. Pass up the middle there, nearly hit off the side of the net. Raylor had to get set for that one. Now Penn State has it. Lev Katzen goes cross ice to Shade. Up the middle for Nick Chindagraves. To the outside for McKenna. He spins off of Thomas but loses the puck. Now here comes Pritchard. Nice move around Jackson Smith, and he dumps it cross corner. Teddy Townsend on the forecheck, loses that one there. Jackson Smith again under the net. He rings it around. That's turned over to Ludke. He's got some space. Makes a move to the middle, to the slot there for Brody Lamb. Lamb can't get a shot away as he was pressured by Chindagraves. Puck below the net now. Couple players battle for it. Ludke comes up with it for a second and forces it out front, but Raylor gets a glove on it, and he covers. 13-12 left here in the second period.
That turnover was just all effort by Ludke. Great job reaching that puck before it was cleared from the zone. Starts this whole offensive zone pressure for the Gophers. And then a scramble behind the net. Some words to the referee from Jared Crespo over there just to the left of the goaltender, Raylor.
Face off to Raylor's left. It's going to be Brody Lamb on the draw, actually. He wins the face-off to Middlestat, maybe looking for a set play. Shot from the points blocked out front from Luke Middlestat. Gophers try to keep it in the zone. Middlestat now dumps it across the red line. That one's gloved down by Raylor. He plays it quickly to Collins. Collins reverses for Godowski. Godowski up the wall to DeMarsico, who's waiting by the Gopher bench. Turned over. Here comes Jimmy Clark. He beats his man. To the backhand, shot to the slot there for Brody Lamb. Can't connect on that one. Gophers dump it in. Godowski retrieves. Collins chips it up. Nice breakout play there. Here comes Serrato across the blue line. Trying to stay on sides is DeMarsico. Serrato to his forehand, protecting under the net. Finds Weebush. Weebush banks it off the back of the net, and Minnesota's able to come up with this one. Jimmy Clark clears it. Stick down by Carter Shade, and that one's called a high sticking by the ref after being waved off by the linesman.
Gophers can take a bit of a breath here coming into that offensive zone faceoff. Again, not much going on energy-wise or offensive production-wise for the Gophers. We'll see if they can come out of this brief break with some energy on offense.
So a 12-18 left in the second period. Gophers leading Penn State 1-0 on home ice. We'll be back here on Radio K. All right, we're back here on Radio K. Face off to the left of Raylor in his defensive zone. Mooney on the draw against the captain, Dowiak. Mooney, the right-handed shot, wins the face-off back to Paulson to the point for Cal Thomas. Point shot, that one goes just wide. Zemer was out front trying to create some traffic in front of Raylor. They ring it around to Mooney. Mooney sends it down low for Zemer. Zemer trying to work to his forehand, but he's pressed by Shade right now. Rings it around to McKenna. On the backhand, goes cross ice. Here comes Reese Lawback. Lawback enters the zone. He's picked off there by Paulson. Turnover there for the Gophers. Nice give and go between McKenna and Lawback. Point shot, that one's blocked by Zemer, but he loses a stick. Here's Lawback, a short angle shot there is stopped by Airy. Puck below the goal line right now. Zemer has no stick, but he's got a little bit of time. Pressed there by Lawback. Puck stays in the zone on the near wall. Crespo keeps it into the point for McKenna. McKenna now to his forehand. That one squirts just past
Nathan Airy on the backhand attempt. Airy comes out and stops that one, receives an ovation from the crowd. Held in the zone is Crespo. Gruba trying to create some separation. He does. Glassing out was Thomas. He tried to, but it's held in the zone by Penn State. Shot there, swallowed up by Nathan Airy.
Big hit by Zemer. I'm definitely impressed with the defense that he was able to play without his stick. He camped a bit further down low, close to Airy, knowing that he's not going to be able to get sticks in the passing lane if he's playing over on the perimeter. Gophers did a good job holistically adjusting to that and get out of a tricky situation.
So face off to the right of Nathan Airy in Minnesota's defensive zone. Misa on the draw, loses that one to Ludke. Gophers trying to break it out of their zone. They ring it around. It's Jackson Smith who has the puck now in his own defensive zone. He starts up, tries to make a move on Pritchard, but he's met and turns the puck over. Here comes Ron back up the middle for Pritchard. Nice touch pass to Townsend. Townsend stops. Turned over to Misa. Misa comes back the other way across the red line. He's 1-on-2 right now against the Gophers defenders. Minnesota comes up with it. And here's Tanner Ludke. Turns it over right up the middle. Bad turnover. Here comes Misa the other way. Looking backdoor. Stopped twice there by Van Olm. And good save. Another one by Airy. 2 attempts there for Penn State, but they hold it into the zone. Here's Collins. Pressure there. Loses the puck to Minnesota. They've got it below the goal line again, though. Ben Schoen rings it out to the point. That one just escapes the zone. Minnesota nearly avoiding a goal there. Here comes Jackson Smith the other way across the blue line. Poke checked by Tanner Ludke. Comes out to center ice. Here comes Pritchard, 2-on-1 with Javon Moore. Moore back to Pritchard. To the forehand save there by Radler. Goes down and makes the save on the partial break. Penn State now with the puck, and they turn it over. Here comes Mason Moe the other way. On his forehand in the offensive zone. He rings around the back of the net. Kicks it to the point. All alone is Whipple. Slap shot there. Just goes wide. Corrals off the boards. Radler able to keep that one out. Moore with the puck now. Feeds it over to John Middlestat. Moore spins off his man. Minnesota, good offensive pressure right now. In the corner is Moe, tied up with Chindagraves. Chindagraves comes up with it. Collins trying to get the clear. Jackson Smith able to get that one to Ben Schoen. They tip that one in deep and out of play. 9:20 left. Minnesota with their best chance of the period there.
Well, that was as good chances as we've seen on either side the entire game in just the last 3 minutes. And I think the long change side definitely had something to do with that.
So the Gophers, both ends actually getting some action there. Great save from Nathan Airy. Here's a face-off at center ice.
And so taking the face-off for the Gophers is Eric Paulson. Katzen for the Lions wins it. Lions enter, passing the blue line. Fight behind the Gopher net to the left of Airy. Paulson getting in there. Rombach gets a stick on it. And Gophers able to clear. With possession is LJ Mooney working up on his own, crossing the blue line. 1-on-3, tries toe drag, loses it. Paulson's there to pick it up off the line. Working down by the circle, passes the cross. Gruba can't quite get back in time. Lions with the 3-on-2 right now. If they act fast, move around the body. And loose puck out in front of the Gopher net that they're able to pick up. That was a nice effort there by Serrato of the Lions. Serrato with it in the offensive zone, and the Gopher is able to pick his pocket. It's Mooney going up against the boards. Gets it off to Brody Zemer. Can't get the clear though. Serrato has it again. Shot batted aside by Airy. Back at the point, it's Godowski. Shoots it behind the net. And out in front, Mooney has it. Mooney working up, able to get the clear, but that will be icing. And so the Gophers, again, really struggling with this long change side.
So both sides having opportunities. There was Penn State there. Good save by Airy. Keeps that one out. But both teams, from what it looks like, having a hard time setting up and establishing something off the rush. Serrato there tried to take it in all by himself, but he was stopped. But to his support, they were able to keep that one in the zone.
Serrato's had a couple of chances lately. It's Jackson Smith. Go all the way across the ice. Getting it back is McKenna. McKenna shoots it, deflected up into the netting, and we'll have another face-off in the defensive zone for the Gophers, but this time they get a change.
Penn State out shooting Minnesota right now 16-8. They've definitely held a lot of the momentum through this game. Of course, that one goal that put Minnesota up 1-0 right now, but still trying to ride off of that, and sort of similar to that third period we had yesterday where Minnesota played with a 1-goal lead the entire time. It's a little uncomfortable to do.
Smith and Crespo back at the line. McKenna has it center point. Turnover, Brody Lamb for the Gophers. Stick checked away. Now Middlestat with it, working up the near side board. Has Lamb out in front, and he'll just dump it and chase. Gophers will get a couple fresh legs. Loose puck that the Lions are eventually able to jump on top of. They've got it working across their own blue line and chipping into the neutral zone. Bit of commotion there. Race for the puck over to the right of Radler. And the Penn State Nittany Lions able to recover and slow things down a little bit.
Again, on that forecheck there was Beckett Hendrickson. He's just so good at pressuring defensemen.
Into the offensive zone are the Nittany Lions. Shot that Airy bats away. That was Jackson Smith. Gophers come away with it. Jimmy Clark chips it towards the bench. And Nittany Lions recover in the neutral zone. McKenna has it 1-on-3 right now. We'll see how much time he can buy. Gets the pass off. Lions rushing through, centering pass taken away by Ludke. And it's again off into the netting.
McKenna's been held a little quiet in this series between Minnesota and Penn State, but right there had a chance to create something off the rush.
And so that will be our media timeout. Gophers still lead 1-0, trailing 17-8 in shots. We'll see what they've got for us when we come back after this on Radio K. Well, we're back. Again, this is Sam Constant switching roles here. Eitan Schoenberg to my right, taking over the color analyst role. And so, Eitan, what have you seen so far here in the second period?
Penn State's really just driven momentum and held possession of play, which shots are pretty telling of that. 9-4 right now. Penn State has the edge this period, but the Gophers 6-5 in draws. I mean, Minnesota right now, it looks like they're having an uncomfortable time trying to play with this lead. It's a hard thing to try to figure out right now. As good as a team as Penn State is, Minnesota doesn't know whether they should go and try to score another one. Of course, that's always the intended goal of, playing hockey in general, you're trying to score. But Minnesota, again, you can't be too risky in these scenarios just because they know how hard it is and how hard they had to work for a lead yesterday, that they don't want to give something up on a risky play.
Well, 9 shots in the second period. That's more than Penn State had in the first period by 1. Gophers, like you said, in familiar territory. They were playing from a 1-goal lead for the whole third period as a shot there is rifled on goal from, that was Nolan Collins, and we'll have another face-off in the offensive zone of the Lions.
Again, both teams having a bit of issues on the rush. Penn State's doing a better job, though, of supporting that on the rush and being able to settle up, as we saw a little bit earlier, a couple minutes ago on the play from McKenna.
Ludke and Schoen on the face-off. Ludke wins it. Gruba tries to send it around for Pritchard. Pritchard is pressured by a couple of Lions. And fanning on that one is Matt Godowski. Gophers still under pressure with behind their own net. Dangerous turnover to McKenna. Gophers get it back. Pritchard sends it up. Pass intercepted by Schoen of the Lions. And Gophers eventually able to exit their own zone. Another neutral zone turnover. They've been struggling with those. And the Lions will get the penalty call. And so delayed penalty, slow to get out there is Radler. And Gophers will quickly touch up on it as Tanner Ludke's able to get there. Lions are going to go on the power play.
Looks like that's going to be Leo Grube on some sort of hook or stick infraction there. But that all starts with the missed passes from the Gophers as they were trying to clear the zone. They had a hard time on the breakout, as we've seen a couple times. They're just not able to get the puck out of the zone. Eventually leads to a turnover and a penalty in their own zone. That'll be a roughing.
And so definitely some commotion there. The fans not too pleased with that. In-house replay here. What do you think of that call?
Sort of interesting. I was kind of expecting some sort of interference, maybe, it looked like could have been, since there was some separation there, but Gruba stepped up and he's going to go to the box for 2.
Looks like that left hand just kind of got the head of a Nittany Lion. In any case, Smith has it on the power play, circling across the point, gives it off to McKenna, cross-ice pass, and not quite able to handle it cleanly is Serrato. Good pressure by the Gophers on Serrato. He gives it back to McKenna, near side this time. McKenna, point, near side, works it across, thought about the one-timer to Smith. Smith drops it back for McKenna, cross-ice pass. Good defense there by the Gophers by Middlestadt, but Smith gets it back up at the point right by the 3M Arena paint. McKenna feeds it further down low. Behind the net now, Serrata has it. Surveys, finds McKenna. Smith crossing behind him. And a shot, score! Nittany Lions, Serrata gets the shot from just outside the circle on a great feed on the power play. We're tied up at 1 here.
So Serrato, the left-handed shot, wiring that one. It was the switch that led to the pass. It was McKenna there shifting there as he found the left-handed shot in Serrato, and he rips that one.
And so 2 power play goals so far today. The one by Tanner Ludke, his 3rd, and then Serrato's 5th on the year. The only 2 penalties to happen so far. So both teams 1 for 1 on the power play. And fresh slate here with 5:20 to go in the second period. Gophers have the puck, skill move, and tried to get it to Middlestadt. That was Javon Moore. Now the other Middlestadt, Luke Middlestadt, had it. Neutral zone turnover. McKenna working up 2-on-2, but it's poked away. It's him and Lebach. Middlestadt working around behind the back. He's behind the net now and circling. Got a couple Gopher bodies out in front. Tries for the wraparound, but it's blocked off by a couple Penn State defenders. Shot from the point by Whipple. Gophers get it back. Cal Thomas over to Middlestadt. Middlestadt working over the center, shot, and it was loose in front of the crease out in front. Javon Moore couldn't get it. McKenna now has it crossing out of the neutral zone and into the Lions offensive zone. Gets it back on the give and go, tips by Airy. And Penn State now has confident possession. Shot that's off the pads of Airy. And Gophers able to get possession in their own defensive zone, working it out just across the red line and pushed into the bench. That was Middlestadt. Lions gearing up for another bit of offensive pressure here. 4:08 to go in the second period. Jimmy Clark falls into the wall. Some pressure there by a Nittany Lion. Eric Paulson and Clark fighting along the boards for the puck. Eventually they get up to Brody Zemer. One-on-one. If he angles it off right, he'll slow things down, let a couple of his teammates catch up. LJ Mooney has it now, working across the point, near side to far side. Spin move. Mooney approaching on his own, gets the shot, and it's blocked off by Radler. Gophers able to hold the zone by Rombach. Paulson with it behind the net. Paulson tries to go for the wraparound on the backhand, but can't get it past. One more time, Radler. Beckett Hendrickson's being pounded into the boards by Nick Fascia. He's been doing a good job today, called on as the extra skater. And still the puck finally out of the zone for the Nittany Lions, almost. Good job getting that one eventually in by Amon.
A lot of good looks there for the Gophers. Really one of their best chances this period to capitalize, but Radler was able to shut that one down. They had a really good cycle going there.
See if they can set that up again. Jimmy Clark tries to poke it through, but Penn State's got it entering the offensive zone. Pickpocketed by Jimmy Clark. Loose puck in front of the goal, and it's Brody Lamb coming away with it. Brody Lamb, neutral zone turnover. Jimmy Clark is there to pick it up, and the Gophers now with possession on the far side, working into the offensive zone. It's Rombach. He's got Lamb behind him, and shot is blocked away. They were going for Teddy Townsend, and shot just barely saved And so another great bit of offensive setup from the Gophers, but Rombach couldn't quite get it in. As we see some fireworks erupting here once again.
Rombach, bit of a more of a stay-at-home defenseman, but he had a good chance as he stepped up onto the play there, circled around the net, had a point-blank look there with a couple players screening out front. That was a really good save by Radler to be able to stay composed and block that one off.
And so an offensive zone face-off. It's going to be Ludke and Serrato. Ludke wins it. Pritchard goes for the shot and sails it way high and wide. Chipped back into the Gophers zone. And coming away with it is Serrato, just barely able to stay on side there. And the Lions starting to set something up. Serrato circling. Dishes it off to the point. Shot blocked out in front. And Ludke gets it. Is he able to get out of the zone? Just barely, but it's into the Penn State bench.
That one's going to come back into Minnesota's zone as they cleared it from their own zone and out of play.
2:01 to go here in this second period, all tied up at 1. Nittany Lions at 21 shots on goal. They started the period at 8. Gophers at 11. Jimmy Clark and Serrato in the circle to the right of Airy. And Airy will cover that one up as it snuck through to him, and we'll try it one more time.
So for Minnesota, honestly, at this point, just would be crucial to keep it tied going into the third period. I mean, for either teams, it would be really unfortunate and kind of put a stake in their momentum going into the third. Let up a late goal now, but especially for Minnesota, who's the underdog in this series, keeping it knotted up right now would be important.
Shot from the point, gloved by Airy. Great save by Nathan Airy. Serrato in the middle of it, right in front of the net. Some pushes and shoves, but refs do a good job de-escalating that one. 1:55 to go, which the way things are going with the Gophers on their heels right now feels like a lot of time in this second period.
Penn State's going to make it that way, and I mean, that play right there just took 3 seconds off the clock, but still a really good chance for Penn State.
Penn State setting up in the offensive zone. Zemer able to almost get the clear, and there it is. So Gophers able to come out of it. Zemer has Paulson with him. Zemer shoots, and it's blocked out in front by Nolan Collins. Serrato retreating back behind his own net, actually just in front of his own net with the puck. Working across the neutral zone, just barely loses it. Seemed to lose an edge there. And the Gophers get it back. Some of the Lions maybe wanted a call there, but just seemed to blow a tire. Jimmy Clark working back around now on the near side walls. McKenna comes away with it to the right of his own net, passes it up into the neutral zone. 3 Gophers, now 4 back on defense, and railed into the boards. Gophers really want to call their Middlestat is very slow to get up. Lamb on the other side, bit of a short-handed rush. Middlestat still working his way over to the bench. Shot blocked off of Laubach, and Gopher fans are not happy about that hit.
Yeah, it was Laubach coming in there, just nailing Luke Middlestat. He was in a compromising position there. Might have got him up high as Middlestat skated off slowly with his chin strap unbuckled. And they had some conversations with Laubach as the boos continue to rain down from the Gopher crowd.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that Bob Moscow is not very happy right now. Getting a call from the referee here.
Looks like we might get some sort of conversation here from the officials. It was definitely could make a case for that one here. Yeah, so they're going to review that one. That was definitely a vulnerable position as Luke Middlestat did not see Laubach coming by any means, and Laubach came in with speed and just hit him hard. You could hear the collision from the boards as Middlestat went down. So there is a chance that Penn State could get called here as the officials are reviewing this one.
And so Brody Lamb had a pretty good shorthanded opportunity coming back from that, but only so much that you can do here on the 4-on-5 essentially with Middlestat so slow to get up. Thankfully, it did look like he was okay. What are you seeing on these extra replays, Eitan?
There's a case there as Middlestat is in a vulnerable position, already being pressured by DeMarsico. We're looking at the in-house replay right now, and a lot of it has to do with how the hit it sort of plays out and is received. As Middlestat again goes hard into the wall there, as we await a call from the officials now.
Good. And so confirming no penalty, that's going to get the crowd riled up. Even in the couple of seconds after play, there were a lot of pushes and shoves. Gophers not happy. Lawback getting a little bit more physical with Gopher players.
It's the officials talking with Motzko about the play. Now they'll go over to Guy Godowski and also inform him of their decision as well. So there was, again, potential Lawback coming with speed with some sort of boarding penalty or roughing, but no call.
Javon Moore's shot that didn't get a rebound. Good job covering that one up from Radler. Some pushes and shoves between Pritchard and Jackson Smith, as Pritchard was there trying to get the rebound. It was Smith also involved, was Jared Crespo, Smith's defensive partner.
And a lot of this is brewing over from yesterday. I mean, it was Dowiak who was also tied up in exchanging some words with a couple of Gophers, and he was involved in that scrum at the end of yesterday's game.
One more time, Katzen and Ludke in the face-off circle. Gruba and Thomas defending the blue line here for the Gophers. Pritchard almost got that. Instead, the Lions able to exit their own zone. Smith has it, crossing the blue line into the offensive zone. He'll slow things down at the point. And tipped around a couple of times. Gophers had it behind the net. It was tipped away. Ludke with a chance to slow things down, gain possession. He'll chip it out of the zone and into the neutral zone. Smith is there. Gophers, we'll see if they can get a change. Looks like they're going to stick with these lines right now. Katzen has it, slows things down. And so Gophers, big turnover. Javon Moore has it. He's got Zemer on the other side. Pass to Zemer just out in front, and Zemer can't finish. Ludke has it, and play is called off.
Here's a penalty on Minnesota. They're going to get called for too many men. There was a line change going on as that 2-on-1 rush was going the other way.
Well, that is a tough break. One of the best chances, I'd say, for the Gophers on that play, but Javon Moore couldn't quite finish it. Then you've got too many men. We'll see who they send over to serve that penalty. Looks like they're still deciding for a moment here.
Minnesota still hasn't sent a player to the box yet, as the officials are ready for puck drop, and all the players are getting back on the ice. Now Mo's going to skate over, but Motzko kind of looked them off, waiting to see if the officials were actually going to enforce it, make a player go to the box.
I was going to say, was I forgetting the rules here? They still have to send someone, right? And so Serrato's going to take that face-off on the power play. Just 0.6 seconds to go in the period, so it would have to be a pretty quick play off the face-off. And it is shot off the face-off, and 2 seconds to go. Shot one more time by a Lion, but Aries able to bat it away, and some traffic out front. So we end the second period still tied, or now tied 1-1 after the equalizer came on the power play from Shade. Tied up 1-1. Eitan, what do you think needs to happen in the third period for the Gophers to get back on the right foot?
Well, most importantly, they got to kill that penalty to start the period. That's going to be pretty indicative of how the rest of the game goes in my eyes. Minnesota, I mean, you take worst times to really give up a goal are at the beginning of a period and the end of a period, as that carries over, especially in the second period where it's knotted up at 1-1. If Minnesota gets the early kill, they're able to play off the momentum, kind of like they did yesterday, but they were getting some big penalty kills, eventually getting that power play goal from Zemer and the game winner from Mo. But Minnesota definitely has to start off and making sure they play this penalty kill well. They already allowed a power play goal. Charlie Serrato getting the one-timer there. Very similar, actually, to how LJ Mooney set up the 2 power play goals this weekend for Minnesota. McKenna just kind of sneaking his way up the middle, faking a shot, maybe looking for the low guy for the one-timer. Yesterday, it was Zemer. Today, Tanner Ludke on the right side. And a very similar setup for Charlie Serrato. Again, a left-handed shot as well. So Minnesota entering this third period definitely focused on the penalty kill early.
And so we've got a, 2 penalties so far, 2 for 2 on the power play. Now this one that'll carry on mostly into the third period. Of course, the Gophers started on the power play in the third period last night, and they weren't able to get much on offense. And it wasn't until later in the period that they sort of found their footing. And so we'll step aside and be back here for the third period. This is Gopher Hockey on Radio K. Well, we're back here at 3M Arena at Mariucci. Penn State tied it up on the power play, and they'll have 1:54 left on the power play here to start off the third period. Of course, Gophers went up 1 last night entering the third period and were able to play defensive, and no goals scored on either side in the third period. What do you think Minnesota needs to do on this kill to be successful?
Well, first of all, probably cover Gavin McKenna, as he was really what contributed to that power play goal from Serrato. So they've got to make sure they're not covering too tightly, that they're going to allow to fully shift the box, which is what McKenna did. And what also Mooney's been doing is they've been skating up and kind of clogging things up near the middle, forcing Minnesota's forwards to shift awkwardly, which allows space to open up down low. And for both teams, very similar plays to one-timer goal.
Penn State with possession in the offensive zone. Sam Constant, Eitan Schoenberg to my right. Jackson Blake dishes it off for McKenna. Good stick there on that side of the Gophers for Cal Thomas. Penn State has it. Serrato fighting along the boards with Middlestat. Middlestat comes away with it. Penn State tries to send it along the boards, but don't get much on it. McKenna passed it right to Brody Lamb. Lamb exiting the zone, past the red line. We'll see if he goes for anything here or just dumps it off. Kills enough time that the rest of his team can get a change.
Yeah, Lamb initially had a player to his left, but got off for the change. And when you're on these penalty kills, you want to keep it short, because turnover in the offensive zone, they come back the other way. You're basically down a forward.
Smith has it, trailing down to the red line on the near side. Gives it back up to McKenna to Serrato. Working across that far side, down low by the red line. And coming up the far board, McKenna gives it right back. Cross-ice pass for Smith. Shoots, he scores! It goes in off the left side of Erie, and Penn State takes the lead on the power play.
Just a great job by Penn State to work the puck there as they feed it on the one-timer. So while Zemer was watching McKenna at the point, Penn State actually had really good puck movement around the perimeter, allowing that short side snipe that we've seen so many times this series. So Penn State able to pick up on Minnesota shifting coverage as they pick up McKenna, still able to find a place and time for that power play goal.
Smith gets his third goal of the year. A combined 3 for 3 on the power play are these two teams tonight. And so Penn State, sounds like the game plan may just be play a clean game. See how defensively they get. Loose puck in front of Erie. Penn State fans wanted a call. Instead, it's Ludke rushing up 2-on-2. And he dishes it off. Townsend can't quite maintain possession. Turnover. Pritchard gets it. He's still able to maintain possession behind the net. Pritchard goes back up to the point. Over to Gruba. Gruba tries to one time. It doesn't connect. Townsend has it behind the net. And fighting along the boards, couple lines are able to get there. Penn State now entering into the offensive zone. Gruba's able to cut it off. But no, a great play on that far side by Van Olm. And off a couple of skaters, wide open in front of the net, and does not somehow go in. What a grade A chance. That was for Loback.
Yeah, Reese Lawback, just like that first goal to start the series off. A weird ricochet finds him all alone, but he rings that one off the post.
Weird scrambling puck. And now the Gophers and Lions fighting for it on that far right corner. Mooney able to pickpocket Lawback right there. Mooney going up with Paulson to his left. They crisscross back up to Paulson, and it's too far out in front. And the Lions able to reset. Gophers still fighting for it in the offensive zone. Paulson gets it. Backhand shot is easily deflected away. That was Brody Zemer. He'll give a hit. And now the Lions get to work it back up through the neutral zone. They get cut off, and dumped into the bench is Moe. Javon Moore one-on-one. If he takes the angle toe drag, gets caught up in the skate of Carter Shade.
Looked like he couldn't decide if he was going to shoot or continue through the toe drag there, and just got caught between and forced that one to the corner.
16:55 to go in the game. Gophers hoping to tie things back up. They trail 2-1. Gavin McKenna has it. He goes to the backhand and flips it just over the net.
Just caught Romback staring at the puck there. Romback forced to watch as McKenna dekes to the backhand and sails that one wide.
Puck off the ref. Middlestat gets it back. Middlestat enters the offensive zone. Moe chases it down behind the net, cut off by a Nittany Lion. And Cal Thomas has it back at the red line. Javon Moore flips it in. Penn State with a chance here to gain some possession. Serrato in his own zone, working up across the red line. Decent Gopher defensive presence. Try and go back to the point, and they lose the zone. They'll have to touch back up. Smith just fires that one in. Penn State will change at least 3, still 2 on the forecheck. They're staying aggressive with that. As Hendrickson and Jimmy Clark work up the board, joined by Brody Lamb, far side, far left corner. Jimmy Clark has possession. Back to the point, Gruba, the pass is tipped away, and the Gophers will have to reset.
So you just think of the sway and how this game has gone. Minnesota getting a chance late in that second period that ends up leading to the penalty, the too many men on ice, and now Penn State has the lead off of that power play.
Scramble for the puck in the circle over to the right of Radler, and Beckett Hendrickson has it behind the net. He'll try and dish it out in front, but nobody's there. And the Lions now have it. 3-on-2 if they work quickly. Toe drag and to no avail. They'll shoot it way behind Airy, and the Gophers will have a chance to reset. That was DeMarsico on that attempt there. Gophers dump it into the offensive zone. Townsend giving chase to it, gets caught up in his skates. And turnover, Ludke able to maintain it, but eventually it bounces back to the Lions. Penn State trying to enter the zone. Ludke's there to pickpocket it. And he'll just go off the boards and barely clear the zone. Schoen dumps it in. Good chase by Smith. Luke Middlestat's there. Rombach picks it up over to Townsend. All the way up, cross pass for Pritchard. He gets the tip, and so the Gophers can change.
And Minnesota having a hard time connecting on passes right now. Sort of both teams also. Again, some of the issues on the rush.
Lawback, toe drag, goes to the backhand, and a good job clearing that one away. Out front again, loose puck. McKenna can't handle it. Mooney 1-on-2 with Zemer. He slows things down, and they're offside. Zemer just got a step ahead as Mooney tried to go to some dangles.
So on one net, it was actually Penn State that was able to create a really good chance on the odd man break, and then Minnesota going the other way. Again, looking a little discombobulated as they've forced themselves offside.
Minnesota now being outshot 25-13, shots on goal that is. Penn State has the face-off edge by 3.
Might assess a penalty here.
Oh, they're bringing 2 of them to the box. Serrato and Mooney, it looks like.
It's going to be Webush.
Webush and Mooney.
So coincidental penalties there. We'll get some 4-on-4 action. This could actually be pretty good for Minnesota. They've played to some sort of a stalemate right now. So maybe the open ice can benefit them. Unfortunately, though, they're losing Mooney, who's still chirping Webush in the box right now. But Mooney's another really good driver. So this is going to be a good advantage. If you see McKenna right now sitting toward the end of Penn State's bench, I'm sure they're going to want to get him out since he's pretty quick. But they've got a couple of really quick players right now. Serrato and DeMarsico on the ice. But Miso's another one that's really able to work his way up the ice with speed.
Serrato with a brief give and go. All of a sudden it's 2-on-2, 3-on-2 if they work quick. Serrato still has it, tries to go to the backhand feed. Zemer's there to pick it off. Gophers, if they work quick, had a chance, but Zemer couldn't find it underneath him. They'll tip it into the offensive zone. A minute 30 left of 4-on-4 as Penn State works to enter the offensive zone. Still not quite, they'll back off. Couldn't get a clean entry from DeMarsico, and the Gophers bat it back into the neutral zone.
Yeah, like I was saying, this 4-on-4 really could play to Minnesota's advantage if they're able to capitalize on a break like that where Zemer had that one.
Pass out front and missing the one-timer. That was Jackson Smith. Retreating now, DeMarsico has it. Pardon me, now DeMarsico has it. He goes back to Smith. Smith, nice spin move. Brody Lamb gets it in the neutral zone but loses it. Now Gruba with possession. Cal Thomas steps off for Luke Middlestat. Lamb also on the ice, as well as Tanner Ludke. They'll go to Middlestat. Middlestat squeezes past Smith on the side. Pass all the way across the ice. Shot is saved. Rombach, nice shot there. Pardon me, Gruba. Jackson Smith has it uninterrupted. Good recovery on defense from Middlestat. And now Brody Lamb, potential 3-on-1. Lamb, Ludke, and Gruba. Lamb has it near side. He'll go for the shot. It slips through, and able to make the save on it are the Lions. McKenna has it. 3-on-2 now coming the other way. Lawback sends it way up into the netting. 16 seconds to go on the 4-on-4.
Yeah, this is just playing out back and forth action going both ways. Both teams getting chances. Minnesota, again, like I was saying, the open ice really could have benefited them if they were able to pick up pucks on the loose breakout there, but 16 seconds left in this 4-on-4. We'll send this one to break. We'll be back on Radio K.
Well, we're back. 16 seconds to go, 4-on-4, and Eitan, this, like you said, might have been one of the better chances that the Gophers are going to get this period.
Yeah, just 16 seconds left on this 4-on-4 in Minnesota. I mean, they've had some decent looks going both ways. Gruba actually had a really good look as well. Both goaltenders tall to the task, but this game, no even strength goals. All 3 goals come from the power play, so Minnesota's going to have to get a greasy one if they want to knock this one up.
Defensive zone face-off for the Gophers. Jimmy Clark pushes it forward, and Hendrickson gives it up. Shot from the red line, and the Gophers will get another defensive zone face-off. Just 9 seconds left on the 4-on-4.
Airy followed that one so well. He saw Schoen creeping down near the red line, the goal line, and he just cut tight on that post, making sure Schoen had no angle at all, and he fires that one, the right-handed shot, right into the chest plate of Airy.
Schoen and Ludke in the circle. Schoen wins it. Shot from the point is blocked out front. Gruba will tip that through. This line's going to stay on for the Gophers, but that'll do it for the 4-on-4. Mooney is back on the ice. Penn State enters the zone, and not much room to work with. They'll reset to the point and right back down low, pressured by Gruba. To the right of Airy behind the board, still fighting. And good right hand by Clark, shoving the Nittany line into the boards. Now breaking out 2-on-2. Mooney goes off to Hendrickson. Back to Mooney, and they can't connect.
Here's a penalty, though, on the play. Looks like it'll be a slash as Minnesota goes to the power play, but Mooney with a smart play there, forcing that to the outside, then creating some separation as he darts backdoor. That penalty will be on Godowski.
So 2 minutes for slashing, 11:33 to go. And this is, is it fair to say that if the Gophers don't score here, it's going to be a tough game to edge out?
It will definitely be tough post this power play if Minnesota fails to score. But like I was saying, neither team has really been able to contribute or score and capitalize on even strength play. So this is Minnesota's. This is their sign. This is their chance to get a good look.
Lamb back to Middlestat. Middlestat shot from the point, loose out in front in the slot, and Penn State gets a clear.
And I think both teams are going to be wary of it. Just the way McKenna and Mooney have set up those power play goals. They're both going to watch that player that's sort of turning into the quarterback up top by the blue line. So definitely, again, Mooney, that's here on that Gopher power play.
Ludke chipped it ahead for Lamb. There's nothing there. They'll bring it back to Middlestat. Middlestat over to Brody Zemer. Loses an edge. He's able to get it off to Ludke, though. Back down low. Ludke runs into some trouble. Lamb over to help out. Zemer gets it uninterrupted down low. Centering pass out high slot. Middlestat shoots, and it's gloved away. Penn State gets the clear. 1:12 to go on the power play for the Gophers.
Really like the patience there from Luke Middlestat, the left-handed shot, as he just kept on moving, waiting for the Penn State players who are already going down to block that shot to shift over and create some separation for himself. Gets the shot off on Radler.
Gophers committed to this first power play unit. Penn Sate chance here, one-on-one. just swing wide, kill off some time. Lawback dishes it back to DeMarsico, and they'll hold the puck. 44 seconds to go and counting down. DeMarsico gets it back in the offensive zone. 1-on-4, takes a shot there. Doesn't play the possession game. Zemer gets it in the neutral zone. Passes up across to Hendrickson. Hendrickson on that far side, working in towards the net. Gets it off and just barely missing on the pass or on the shot out front. Penn State, DeMarsico coming back the other way. 20 seconds left, and to the backhand. Airy covers it up. Some fireworks here. Gruba's tied up with a player, Paulson, and a shot from Pritchard. We've got several Penn State players tied up. DeMarsico's in that mix. And
of course, it's
Gopher
back again. He's been in all of these fights this weekend, and especially after that hit from on Luke Middlestat earlier in the game. Right after him goes Pritchard.
Well, Pritchard and Lawback going at it again. 2 or 3 different fights going on. Might take them a second to sort all this out, but looks like they'll be taking Pritchard
And Lawback.
and Lawback.
Another 4-on-4 chance, so that power play fails for Minnesota, but another good look there. They'll actually have a 4-on-3
They'll have
here.
19 seconds,
It's a
yeah,
4-on-3.
4-on-3.
Unless it'll be 5-on-4. I think it'll be yeah.
Gophers have 5 on the ice right now.
So the offsetting penalties, I think, might make it 5-on-4. And they'll be forced to wait for a whistle call to get those players out of the box. Since it's just a washout, let's see what the official's saying here. So yeah, 5-on-4.
And so Jimmy Clark in the circle against Katzen. Now that's a very different game if you've got a 4-on-3. 19 seconds is a lot for 4-on-3. From a defensive zone faceoff, that's going to be tough to put something together. Penn State wins it anyway, and they'll just retreat. They don't want anything to do with that kill. Send it all the way across to Airy. Now Cal Thomas has it behind the net. 8 seconds to go on the power play for the Gophers. Jimmy Clark working up with some speed. He cuts through a couple of Penn State defenders, working along to that far side board. Back to the point. Gruba's shot sails way wide and rebounds back out behind the net. Hendrickson was fighting for it pretty hard. Instead, it's Schoen working into the Gophers zone. Cal Thomas there to pick up the puck and go over to Gruba behind Airy. We're back to 5-on-5 here. Mo will tip it over, but not quite in front of the red line, so we'll have an icing. Fans not happy with that, but from here it looked like he was just behind it.
A pretty close call there for Mo to get the stick on. That's what a lot of defensemen look for when they're breaking out of their own zone, just to get that contact with the stick near the red line and chip it in deep while players go for a line change. So Minnesota will have a tired group on the ice right now.
9 minutes, 11 seconds to go in the game. Gophers looking for that equalizer. Mo on the faceoff, joined by Serrato. Gavin McKenna right behind Serrato. We'll see if they can drop a play to get it back there. Tied up underneath both skaters, and Gruba somehow comes away with it. Now Hendrickson on the near boards, pressured and fighting along the boards, eventually able to get it to Mo. Mo tries to go back to Hendrickson, bit of a miscommunication, but a couple fresh skaters for the Gophers. Javon Moore out on the forecheck against Smith. And Smith takes a second to slow things down behind his own net. Surveying are the Lions. They'll chip it right back into the zone, coming across that far side shot off the pad of Airy. And the Gophers have a 3-on-2. It's Whipple with the puck. He'll go up to Moore. Middlestat also involved. Shot sailed way wide, maybe hoping to reach somebody there, but there was no one. McKenna gets taken down. And Mo will just shoot that one back behind his own net and let Rombach take it.
I think they were looking for that far side rebound play off the pad. Moore was on that 3-on-2 rush. Whipple getting into the action too as he set up that play, driving up the middle to find Moore on the outside.
Paulson plays the body, getting Zemer the puck, and a turnover. Penn State working quick. Serrato has it. Hard stop in front of Rombach. Shot open in the middle, and a bit of commotion. Not able to get the shot off was Collins.
The back check from Zemer that broke up that play last second.
And so Zemer Almost enters the offensive zone. Fans not happy with that one as Paulson comes away with it, trying to take it on his own, at least kill off some time. So we got a fresh start. Lamb takes a shot, rebound, and the shot is saved. What a save. Couple Gophers got a whack at it. Lamb ended up on the ground. Serrato's in a headlock, and both players from the penalty box are now back on the ice or heading back to the bench.
Oh my goodness, that glove save might have just saved the game for them, or from keeping this one a 2-2 score. That was a prime time rebound right there in the slot. Townsend gets a really good look at it too, and Radler with the windmill save. I mean, if Penn State holds on to this one, that's play of the game, no doubt in my mind.
That is a work of art, that save right there. And hard to imagine the Gophers are going to get a chance better than that. But still 7:28 to go. Face-off won by Ludke. Smith gets it. Makes Pritchard miss. And then Schoen now has it near board. He'll go all the way across, misplayed by Smith, but no huge Gopher forecheck here. A couple of Gophers have slipped just in front of the blue line on that right side facing the Lion net. Block shot, Pritchard, one-on-one. Pritchard moves over to the backhand side, switches back, shot is sailed into the netting. No, pardon me, it just hit the top of the glass. And Rombach with it. He'll go stretch pass all the way across, ringing it around. And Lamb fighting for it. Lamb almost comes away with it. Javon Moore's there. He's working it on the backhand. And puck gets battered around. Javon Moore now fighting behind the net. Back to Rombach. Point at the left. He'll send it back around. It hit the referee, but Jimmy Clark is there to pick it up. Jimmy Clark shot short angle, and it's gloved down. 6:25 to go.
Yeah, Pritchard looked like he was grabbing his face for a second as he was coming off the ice. Really good looks for Minnesota going both ways. I mean, those were really their opportunities to score, especially that play from Townsend up the middle. But the Gophers have had some really good looks to try to level this one up. But again, Radler has been amazing.
Radler has looked incredibly strong. One of the best opportunities for the Gophers put away. We'll step aside briefly and be back. 6:25 to go. Lions lead by 1. Well, as to be expected on a Saturday night, the section is falling off a little bit in attendance, but you know, still a really good crowd here making some noise. 6:25 to go. Can't ask for at least a more dramatic game than what we've got on our hands right now. Again, Sam Constant joined by Eitan Schoenberg here at Mariucci. Lamb wins the faceoff in the offensive zone. He'll send it through. Hendrickson pounded behind the boards, gives it back up for Lamb. Caught beneath a couple of players. Pass out front, Jimmy Clark can't connect, and the Gophers will reset.
Penn State really trying to stretch out this ice, especially when they have the puck with no pressure in the defensive zone. They're just trying to kill some clock.
Jimmy Clark tried a cross-ice pass over to Lamb, but it got tipped away. Now on the far side, Chinda-Graves gives it up to Gruba. Jimmy Clark entering the offensive zone. 1-on-2, 1-on-3 gets Brody Lamb in the mix now. Clark stops hard, working along that left far side on the board. They'll ring it around. Whipple's there, but doesn't get all the way to him, as there to pick it off is Braden Ford. Zemer working into the offensive zone by himself, 1-on-4. Paulson tries to get the miss, and Mooney's able to collect it. Paulson has no idea where it is, and Mooney can't hold the zone. Gavin McKenna, backhand pass, shot sailed way high, got a stick. That was Reese Lawback. And again, couple of pushing and shoving after the whistle. If you're Penn State, you got to be really careful here.
Yeah, Dowiak and Lawback in the mix right now with Whipple, the two names been said a lot in those mixes and these scrums. so far this series. But again, Penn State doing a lot of progression I've seen so far this game on the rush. Their zone entries has been a lot better. Minnesota, on the other hand, Zemer trying to take the team 1-on-3, and Penn State's just going to shut that one down all day.
Face-off eventually gets batted all the way into Penn State's defensive zone. Not a whole lot of rush here. 5 minutes left on the clock. Smith gets it near side boards, working up out of the neutral zone into the offensive zone. And Laubach tries to leave it off. Pickpocketed by Eric Paulson. Middlestat gets it back up, but McKenna takes over in the neutral zone. McKenna just rings that around, and Middlestat will catch up to it. Middlestat working close up along the boards to Javon Moore. Pass outstretched Brody Zemer, and it gets tipped once again. Middlestat in the defensive zone has the puck. He'll send it.
Sorry, you see how quickly this clock will melt away from Minnesota. Suddenly there's less than 5 minutes left.
And a shot that just barely got gloved away by Tanner Ludke. Gophers chance to reset shot way out from the point, and that'll get gloved away. And so it's like there's a little bit of commotion here between Javon Moore and Van Olm.
Some bad